First Book of Meqabyan, chapter 13. They will be brought low and perish under my wrath when I seize them. Woe to Tyre, Sidon, and all the regions of Judah, who have made themselves arrogant. God declares, from among them will come a proud and lawless one, the false Messiah, an enemy of truth. He will exalt himself, boast in arrogance, and not know his Creator. God says, I have allowed him, so that my power may be revealed through judgment. Regions such as Capernaum, Samaria, Galilee, Damascus, Syria, Achia, Cyprus, and the lands of the Jordan, all who live in sin and whose minds are covered in darkness, are under the influence of the adversary because they have not returned to the fear of God. Woe to those who serve demons and offer sacrifices in their name. They have denied their Creator and become like mindless creatures. The false Messiah, a child of the adversary, will establish his image everywhere and declare, I am God. He will delight in corruption and violence, theft, deceit, and every form of sin and injustice. Then cosmic signs will appear. The sun will darken, the moon will turn to blood, the stars will fall. All creation will be shaken as God brings the final fulfillment and removes all who live in sin. God will bring all things together and destroy the adversary, who is only a small and defeated enemy. God declares, I will judge and destroy, and after my coming, the adversary will have no authority. When seized by divine wrath, he will be cast into Gehenna, the place prepared for him, and he will bring back all who follow him into destruction with him. God gives strength to the weak and humbles the powerful. Let no one boast in their strength. He is the true ruler, the one who judges and rescues the oppressed, including widows and orphans. Woe to you who are proud, who believe you will not be judged. You say, I will raise my throne to the heavens and be like God. But just as it was said, how the morning star has fallen from heaven, so will you fall. You spoke in arrogance, without considering your Creator. Why did you exalt yourself, only to descend into Gehenna? You were brought low below the angels, for they remain humble and obey their Creator, while you rebelled. Because of your pride and corruption, you became separated and led others into sin, teaching them rebellion and evil. Woe to you! For the demons you misled will fall with you into Gehenna. And woe to all who follow this deception, for they will share the same fate, descent into Gehenna, where there is no escape. Remember how you angered God in earlier times, in rebellion and disobedience, and in rejecting his commands. You doubted and resisted, even after being shown truth, and turned back towards bondage and error. You forgot the one who delivered you, who protected you by day and night, and guided you with his presence. When you were afraid, you cried out and he saved you. He led you through the sea and destroyed your enemies while you were preserved. He sustained you, provided for you, and protected you, yet you still turned away. You continually angered him, even after receiving his blessings. As it is written, the hearts of mankind are inclined toward evil, toward violence, deceit, and corruption. And so people continue in sin from the beginning until the time of final fulfillment. That is the end of chapter 13. Chapter 14. When God destroyed the descendants of Cain through the flood because of their sin, he cleansed the earth with the waters of destruction. He said, I regret that I created mankind. And he destroyed the wicked, preserving only 8 people. Afterward, he multiplied them, and they filled the earth, receiving the inheritance of their father Adam. Noah made a covenant with God, and God made an oath with Noah that he would not again destroy the earth by flood, that humanity should not eat what is dead or unclean. that they should not worship other gods, that God would be their loving Father, and that He would provide rain, food for people and animals, crops, grass, and plants, so that they could live to do what is right. But after receiving this command, the children of Israel angered God through sin. They did not remain faithful to His law like their fathers, Isaac, Abraham, and Jacob. From the least to the greatest, they became corrupt in their actions. Priests, leaders, and scribes, all of them broke God's law. They did not keep His commands, which they were given through Moses, including love the Lord your God with all your heart and strength. They also ignored the command, love your neighbor as yourself. Do not worship idols. Do not commit adultery. Do not kill. Do not steal. Do not bear false witness. Do not covet what belongs to another. Yet after all of this, they returned to sin, to deceit, theft, immorality, lies, and idol worship. They angered God at Horeb by making a golden calf and saying, "These are the gods who brought us out of Egypt." They celebrated their own creation, eating, drinking, and singing. God said, "You people have turned away from the law and have made an idol." Moses came down from Mount Sinai with his companion Joshua, and when Joshua heard the noise, he thought it was the sound of battle. But Moses said, "It is not the sound of war, it is the sound of celebration." He came down, destroyed the idol, ground it into dust, and mixed it with water for the people to drink. Then he commanded the priests to bring judgment upon the people for their sin. They understood that rebellion against God was worse than death, and they carried out the command. Moses said, "You have angered God, the one who fed you, protected you, and delivered you from slavery." Yet they continued to sin and did not stop provoking God. They were not like their fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who pleased God through their righteous actions. God prepared for them an inheritance on earth and a place in the garden for those who love Him. But their descendants rejected God and lived according to their own desires. They ignored the one who sustained them from childhood. They forgot God, who delivered them from Egypt and freed them from oppression. So God allowed other nations to rise against them, to oppress them, and place them under hardship and taxation. That is the end of chapter 14. Chapter 15. At that time, the people of Midian rose against Israel in hostility. Their king, called Acrandus, gathered a large army from Cilicia, Syria, and Damascus. Encamping beyond the Jordan, he sent messengers saying, "I will take your wealth, pay tribute to me. If you refuse, I will come against you, seize your livestock, take your horses, and capture your children. I will carry you away to a land you do not know, and there you will serve as laborers. Do not boast, saying, 'We are God's people, nothing can happen to us.' Was it not God who sent me to destroy you and take your wealth? Did your idols save the nations I already defeated? I took their horses, killed their people, and captured their children. If you do not pay tribute, I will do the same to you." Then he crossed the Jordan to plunder their land, their livestock, and their families. The children of Israel cried out in deep distress to God, but at that moment they had no one to help them. So God gave strength to three brothers, Judah, Maccabees, and Maccabees, men of strength and courage. All Israel mourned and cried out, orphans, widows, priests, leaders, men and women alike, sprinkling ashes on their heads and wearing sackcloth. But the three brothers stood up and resolved to save the people. They said, "Let us go and give our lives for them." Encouraging one another, they armed themselves with swords and spears and prepared for battle. They entered the enemy camp. Maccabees struck the king while he sat at the table, cutting off his head in a single blow. Maccabees and Judah attacked the army from both sides and defeated them. When the king fell, his army panicked and fled. Their weapons failed, and they were completely defeated. The brothers were preserved, no harm came to them. God turned judgment upon their enemies, and the opposing army destroyed itself. The army fled across the Jordan, abandoning their wealth. Israel pursued them, took their gods, and reclaimed what was theirs. God delivered Israel through the hands of these brothers. For a time, Israel lived rightly and honored God, but afterward they returned again to sin and neglected the worship of God. So God allowed foreign nations to rise against them, to take their crops, plunder their flocks, and devastate their land. They would capture their wives and children and bring great suffering upon them because they continually turned away from God and broke his law. That is the end of chapter 15. Chapter 16. Those who act in these ways include the people of Tyre, Sidon, those beyond the Jordan, and those along the coast, as well as Koran, Gilead, and the Jebusites, Canaanites, Edom, Girgashites, and the Amalekites. All peoples act in this way. Those living in every tribe, nation, region, and speaking every language, all living according to their own ways, as they have chosen. Yet among them are some who know God, whose works are good, and there are others whose works are evil, who do not know God who created them. Because of their sin, God gave them over into the hand of kings, such as the king of Assyria. He plundered Damascus and took the wealth of Samaria, handing it over to other rulers as judgment upon them. Regions such as Gilead and peoples in Persia and Media, Cappadocia, and western lands, and those in strongholds and cities. These are nations who do not know God or keep his commands, whose hearts are hardened, and God will repay them according to their evil works and the deeds of their hands. The peoples of Gilead, the region of Caesarea, and the Amalekites have joined together to destroy the land of God, the land filled with truth, where the Creator of Israel is praised, the most glorious and victorious one. Before him stand countless angels, serving him in fear and trembling, and he will repay these nations according to their evil deeds. That is the end of chapter 16.